Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, Text number 40. Matre Adhyatmikim Vidyam Shamanim Sarvakarmanam Vitarishye Yaya Cha Asau Bhayam Cha Atitarishyate. Matra Adhyatmakim Vidyam Shamanim Sarvakarmanam Vitarishye Yaya Chasau Bhayang Chata Chatarishyati. Chatitarishyati. Chatitarishyati. Matra Adhyatmakim Vidyam Shamaning Sarvakarmanam Vitarishye Yaya Chasau Bhayang Chatitarishyati. Matra Adhyatmakim Vidyam Shamanim Sarvakarmanam Vatirishye Yaya Chasau Bhayang Chatatarishyati.
Okay. Okay, Gurudev, if you're ready, you can go. Can I go? Matra Adhyatmiki Vidya Shamanim Sarva Karmana Vitarisheya Chaso Vayam Chati Tarishiti Matra Adhyatmiki Vidya Shamanik Sarva Karmana Vitarisheya Chasa Payam Chatarishyati. Okay, Gurudev.
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Mata Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Shamanim Sarvakarmanam
Shamanik Sarvakarmanam
Vidarishyaya Chasa
Vitarisheya Chasa
Ham Chatarishyati
Payam Chatarishyati.
Ayam Chaiti Tarashati
Payam Chatarishyati.
Matra Hadhyatmakim Vidyam
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Shamanim Sarvakarmanam
Shamanik Sarvakarmanam
Vitarishyaya Chasau
Vitarisheya Chasa
Vayam Cha Titarishyati.
Payam Chatarishyati. Mother Adhistani.
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Shamanim Sarvakarmanam
Shamanik Sarvakarmanam
Vitarishyaya Chaso
Vitarisheya Chasa
Ayam Chati Tarishyati.
Payam Chatarishyati. Mother Sarvamangala.
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Shamanim Sarvakarmanam
Shamanik Sarvakarmanam
Vitarishyaya Chasau
Vitarisheya Chasa
Bhayam Chati Tarishyati.
Payam Chatarishyati. Nirashpuru.
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Matra Adhyatmikim Vidyam
Shamanim Sarva Karmanam
Shamanik Sarvakarmanam
Vitarishyaya Chasau
Vitarisheya Chasa
Bhayam Chati Tarishyati.
Payam Chatarishyati. Thanks everyone. Matre, to my mother, Adhyatmikim, which opens the door of spiritual life, Vidya, knowledge, Shamanim, ending, Sarvakarmanam, all fruitive activities, Vitarishyaya, I shall give. Yaya, by which. Cha, also. Asau, she. Bhayam, fear. Cha, also. Atitarishiti, will overcome. I shall also describe the sublime knowledge, which is
to spiritual life to my mother, so that she also can attain perfection and self-realization. ending all reactions to fruitive activities. Thus she also will be freed from all material fear. Purport. Kardama Muni was anxious about his good wife, Devahuti, while leaving home. And so the worthy son promised that not only would Kardama Muni be freed from the material entanglement, but Devahuti would also be freed by receiving instruction from her son. A very good example is set here. The husband goes away, taking the sannyas order for self-realization, but his representative, the son, who is equally educated, remains at home to deliver the mother. A sannyasi is not supposed to take his wife with him. At the vanaprastha stage of retired life, or the stage midway between householder life and renounced life, one may keep his wife as an assistant without sex relations. But in the sannyas order of life, one cannot keep his wife with him. Otherwise, a person like Kardama Muni could have kept his wife with him, and there would have been no hindrance to his prosecution of self-realization. Kardama Muni followed the Vedic injunction that no one in sannyas life can have any relationship, any kind of relationship, with women. But what is the position of a woman who is left by her husband? She is entrusted to the son, and the son promises that he will deliver his mother from entanglement. A woman is not supposed to take sannyas. So-called spiritual societies concocted in modern times give sannyas even to women, although there is no sanction in the Vedic literature for a woman's accepting sannyas. Otherwise, if it were sanctioned, Kardama Muni could have taken his wife and given her sannyas. The woman must remain at home. She has only 3 stages of life: dependency on the father in childhood, dependency on the husband in youth, and in old age, dependency on the grown-up son, such as Kapila. In old age, the progress of woman depends on the grown-up son. The ideal son, Kapila Muni, is assuring his father of the deliverance of his mother, so that his father may go peacefully, without anxiety, for his good wife. Thank you everybody for being here. Hare Krishna. Please let us know, Marj, if you'd like to add something. We'll keep watch for that. So, here Kardama Muni is being reassured by Kapila Dev that his wife also will become perfected, even though it seems from an external point of view that Kardama Muni is actually abandoning his wife. Actually, he's following the Vedic injunctions which lead to liberation for all persons. Actually, the Vedic system or the Varnashram Dharma system is meant to make sure everybody gets liberated in due course. Nobody's left out of the system. There's even prescriptions for the chandalas, or those who are addicted to sinful activities, how they can actually engage in those things according to the Vedas and gradually be elevated more and more and more. What to speak of those who are in the higher orders, who are only interested in the mode of goodness and who eventually engage in the devotional service of the Lord personally and reach the Suddha Sattva. What to speak of those persons, even the lowest of the society are going to get liberation by following the system. Now, Prabhupada discusses in his lectures, he described a classless society. A classless society is disorganized and chaotic. So the Varnashram Dharma society is meant to actually classify things and make it organized. Of course, it's always important to remember that such a system will be very difficult to practice in totality in this age of Kali. And inculcating this system will be the responsibility of persons who are actually free from the modes of nature. Or else how will we do this? How will we inculcate such a system of discipline and motive goodness when we're not even above the modes? That's why we're interested in this Daivi Varnashram, that persons who are interested in pure devotional service actually follow to the degree that is favorable for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. They follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma, and they help other persons connect to the process of devotional service by the scientific means of using their proclivities in the Lord's service. Right? So the devotees of the Lord actually are responsible to organize such a system so that persons who are disorganized can plug up to get their material benefits. And when they plug up, what will they be plugging to? Harinam and Prasadam. You know? So therefore, this is an amazing project that Prabhupada has asked us to do, and he spoke about it today in the Lilamrita. It's just amazing how these things line up. And Srila Prabhupada was telling the devotees, Rameshwar Prabhu was described by Satsvarup Maharaj as a visionary and an expert manager, and he wanted to know about ruling the entire world on behalf of Krishna and the Krishna consciousness movement, how that would happen. Because Prabhupada said that would happen. So he wanted to understand a little bit and extract from Prabhupada some of his vision. And that's actually the process of Guru Parampara, is we take the vision of the acharyas and we learn how to see the world, and we learn how to see our duty and our responsibilities in the proper way. So Rameshwar Swami Maharaj, he was trying to get this information from Prabhupada. How would the Krishna consciousness movement rule the entire world? At the present moment, we have practically insignificant political power. So will it happen from the ground up, or will it happen from the top down? What will happen? And Prabhupada actually kind of said that even a small number of people who are Krishna consciousness in government can do that work and have an effect. But, right, we will need also from the bottom also. Is a grassroots. Means we need the workers. We need the common man to take Krishna Prasadam and to chant Hare Krishna. And therefore, I was thinking so that it's so awesome that in this very town, actually it's a little bit north of here, at FedEx, not so long ago, I'm not sure how they're doing now, but Bhakti Cooper was distributing prasadam to the workers and playing Hare Krishna Kirtan on his boombox. Literally what Prabhupada is talking about. Just not exactly as organized yet. Grassroots. Means the workers themselves are getting into it. And then, as long as they're working fine, the boss and the shift manager says, oh, what's the problem? I like it too. It's cool. You know, we chant, so we sing Hare Krishna, you know, that's nice. We're getting good work done. Everyone's happy. Like that. And in that same way, every establishment in this whole city can become Krishna conscious. We just have to inject into their environment Prabhupada's books, which provide the philosophical basis for all the growth in Krishna consciousness. We give them devotee association, right, by being their friends and encouraging them. And we give them prasadam as much as possible and Krishna Kirtan as much as possible. And Jagannath and I have been going out and we're seeing people like Hare Krishna. So yesterday we had a big group of people at the Loose Park, and the idea is that, or actually the person who kicked it off was Alankar Prabhu. So I invited Alankar for the Harinam, and unfortunately I was late, so he was a little bit inconvenienced. But he went, he stuck around and he did some errands, and then he came back, and Jagannath Prabhu and I were there with a book table and some instruments and things like that. And there's a lot of people out. Now, I mentioned it before, but there's a letter from Prabhupada where he encouraged the devotees to take advantage of the summertime as a Harinam time. Harinam and Sankirtan. Use the summer, right? Of course, that was also geographical context, right? When he writes the letter, take advantage of the summer, that means there's a winter which is less advantageous, right? So that means it's a geographical context. So such context is always important to remember. But in New York, of course, we know winter is tough. Now, they go into the subway. They have a place to be, even in the winter time. So that's really cool too. Anyway, so Prabhupada says take advantage of the summer. And we see. Why? Because people come out. And when people come out and we go out, then Krishna can arrange them to meet us. So what happened was Alankar Prabhu came, and he's a type of a what does he want to say? Spark plug, right? He's like he knows how to chat with the people and get them to smile and get them to stop and have a moment with him. And then Jagannath Prabhu and I were there to help kind of pivot it a little bit. Of course, Alankar Prabhu hollered at this family. They had a cart full of kids. There was 3 kids in the cart. Mommy was there. And there was a young boy that was there. I think he was 6 or 7. And he came right up to the table. And so Jagannath Prabhu said, "Hey, how's it going?" Like that. And he passed him the Beyond Birth and Death. And he told the boy that we just need $1 for the book. And he started calling for his mommy. And Alankar was already preaching to her something about the kids or whatever. And he decided to Alankar gave the donation to the kid, and the kid gave it to Jagannath, and the circle was complete. And then we started chanting Hare Krishna. And another spark plug or catalyst for Hare Krishna dance parties are shakers. Especially for the kids, They like to do this. It's spontaneous for them. So we just passed out the maracas and the shakers, and everyone was doing Krishna Kirtan. And then some Mataji came up. She had actually previously just bought a stack of books. She's kind of maybe a yogi type. And she started chanting with us and playing instruments. And then there was 2 Indian boys that were walking, and we hollered at them. And they came over and they started chanting Hare Krishna. And that was the coolest thing happening in the park all day. Even materially. That's the thing about Krishna Kirtan. Even materially, it was the coolest thing that happened. Oh, a little wedding photo shoot. Everyone's kind of bored, and their pants are too tight or whatever, and their shoes or their feet hurt, and oh man, we got to take another one, and all this. No, everyone wants to chant and dance, actually. That's the idea. So we were chanting and dancing, and everyone was watching, and we had a few people participate directly. So anyway, the point is Sankirtan for the summertime, and I was mentioning that this is what will happen when the people actually associate with the Krishna conscious movement, because that's what the pure devotees do. They want to chant and dance. They want to glorify the Lord in a pure devotion, right? They want that prema nam sankirtan. They want this. They want to do the chanting of the holy name in pure love of God. So anyway, Prabhupada was mentioning, if we start these farm communities, then persons who are not ready to take to the rigid austerities of devotional life to the fullest extent, they can actually achieve all the material aims of life very nicely by living the natural way of life, which we will teach them. And we will show them by example. And they will chant and dance also and take prasadam, because that's all we will eat at the farm. You know? We'll make the arrangements to eat wonderful Krishna prasadam, and everyone will have no problems because it's the best food you can get. You know? There will be no issues. So, and there will be wonderful, healthy, everything. So that's the concept that we're trying to work towards as much as possible. And the city centers are for austerity, meaning we're supposed to be minimizing whatever our own material programs for comfort and trying to maximizing our outreach. And Prabhupada wrote so many times, especially he wrote one specific letter where he described that the temples are not a place for eating and sleeping, but a base from which we send out our soldiers to fight with Maya. You know? And we feel it. We feel it personally, all of us. And any guest who comes to the temple and then goes out on Sankirtan, they also feel it. That this is the real thing. I'm actually doing something. So we do have that availability. If anybody does want to go on the Harinam party, then they can come. We have a small team right now, so we're trying to make sure that trying to get regulated with that. Since Jambavit Sutta is gone, then it's tough to exactly be timely. He's the expert at being on time. So that's a very nice quality. Anyway, so Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai and Daivi Varnashram Farm Communities Ki Jai. And we can see as Kapila Dev has reassured Karma Muni, he will reach perfection by going and taking sannyas. His wife will achieve perfection by associating with her own son, who has been trained, who is the incarnation of God, and who is actually fully perfect, just as the father was perfect. Like father, like son. That's the concept behind Grihastha Ashram, is that the father and the mother, they will work together to create a child who is as equally as perfect as the father in self-realization, and actually can continue to guide the family to perfection. And, Prabhupada made some strong statements here about how the Varnashram system works, and it's very clear, So one can study these purports and obtain so many practical guidelines for their own lives. And it said, okay, Prabhupada makes an amazing comment here. He says, at the Vanaprastha stage of retired life, or the stage midway between household life and renounced life, one may keep his wife an assistant without sex relations, but in the sannyas order of life, one cannot keep his wife with him. Then, otherwise, a person like Kardama Muni could have kept his wife with him, and there would have been no hindrance in the prosecution of self-realization. Basically, Prabhupada is saying, Kardama Muni is not interested in any material thing anyway. So he and his wife can continue associating until the end of life, and there'll be no problem for self-realization. But because the Vedas have actually described that the sannyas order of life is not to be executed with one's wife, then he followed that injunction. So this is an amazing thing, actually. This is an amazing thing. That the devotees, they simultaneously recognize that there is a platform above the rules and regulations. That's what Prabhupada is alluding to here. Kardama Muni is way above the regulations that he cannot keep his wife with, that he has to leave his wife just to be a yogi and to be a devotee. No, he's way beyond that. That he is still affected by lust and he has to have some distance and these types of things. No. Kardama Muni is beyond that rule. But because he's a devotee, then he decides to follow the rules for the pleasure of Krishna. And what's amazing is that this makes a good example for others. Say there's a man and he is not so elevated in self-realization and he gets to the age of 50, then he says, well, the Vedas say I gotta quit my job and I gotta stop having sex with my wife, no more children. And now, we'll leave the family under the care of my son, my oldest son, and me and my wife will go on pilgrimage and we'll start chanting Hare Krishna really seriously again and studying like anything and preaching, and doing wonderful tapasya together. Okay, we'll go together for some time. And then at a certain point, there comes a time when he becomes 75 and the Vedas are recommending that at the fag end of life, the man actually goes alone. So he gives himself an opportunity to relieve himself of the association of women. Right? And what does that mean? That means he can become more free from the bodily concept of life. What is this? This is external. And that's okay. External doesn't mean bad, but it's not perfect. Just like the conversation of, it's perfect, but it's external. Right? So this is actually between the conversation of Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually goes to the point and says that, that the highest, you could say, the premise, I need to review that a little bit, but basically they get to this point where this verse from Lord Brahma is brought up about that one can stay in his position in terms of his society and his occupation and so on and so forth, and start hearing from the pure devotees. And that's the principle of book distribution. That's exactly the principle of book distribution. Don't worry, man. Just take this book. Just read this book. It's going to work. It's going to help you. Then we do both. We start working towards, we continue hearing. We must continue hearing. But then we also accept some different rules and regulations, which help us to move forward. So this person who's not purified, who's not free from sex desire completely, he's not a pure devotee yet, then at a certain point it's recommended he can go further in his journey by taking sannyas, and he leaves the company of his wife. And so persons like Kardama Muni, they don't need to take sannyas. Right? They don't need to take sannyas. They're already sannyas. Right? But externally, he takes sannyas and everyone can learn. Same thing that Krishna did. And he didn't take sannyas, but he also taught by example so many things in his leelas. And he also describes in the Bhagavad Gita that if he didn't do his work, then the whole world would turn to ruination. Okay, so what a great fortune for Devahuti. Now she gets to associate with the most beautiful and beloved son, Kapila Muni, and be personally blessed by the association of Krishna in his form as Kapila Dev, and get spiritual instructions from her own son. You know? It's her own son. You know, there's nothing more sweet to the mother than the son or the child, you know? And because, why? They become attached because they have to serve so much. Service brings attachment. Service brings attachment. If I have to serve this person all the time, I'll be attached to them, you know? And that's the idea, is that service, when we hear in the Guru Puja song that attachment to the spiritual master's lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. What is that attachment to the lotus feet? That is service. So service and attachment are very closely linked. So the mother, Devahuti, she has given birth to Kapila Dev, the most beautiful child, and he is grown up, and now he's going to teach her about self-realization. The most sweet and nectar, sublime content there is this Krishna Katha, this transcendental knowledge. What can be better? And Kardama Muni will be doing his thing with Krishna also. So this is the Vedic system, and we have wonderful examples. And yeah, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any thoughts or comments or questions? Anybody online? Okay. So a few more minutes then. So the son, you can see, Kapila Muni has assuring his father of the deliverance of his mother, so that his father may go peacefully without anxiety for his good wife. So now we're hearing a little bit also about the duty of the son. That the son, he should become elevated in Krishna consciousness and a responsible person, and so he can actually guide the mother after the father leaves, because he knows. And this is actually a sweetness of relationship between the father and the son. The father and the son, they have a type of a friendship. As it moves along in age, the friendship develops where they see, actually, we're kind of like brothers, you know, in a type of a way that their mission is the same. They want to actually attain God consciousness and perfection of life and perfection of philosophy. And actually, such a sweetness is very, very, very special, actually. And you know, if we have a father that is interested in God consciousness, that is a wonderful blessing and gift. If the father is interested in Krishna consciousness and has this mission, I shall perfect my life. I shall become a perfect human, right? I shall develop love for God. And the son, he feels, yes, father, you go, do it. Make it happen. And I'll do what I need to do. I'll make you so you don't have any responsibilities anymore. You know? This type of service attitude is what makes the Vedic system thrive. Yeah? Yes.
So I was just wondering, you were just talking about interest in Krishna consciousness, but what does that exactly look like?
Well, it starts with an appreciation for the devotional path, or an appreciation for spirituality. It may be vague, right? And depending on the elevation of our father, then they may not really have too much personally. But at least if they don't get in the way of us, you know? Then there's also another relationship which happens sometimes where the father says, don't worry, son, I'll take care of the family, you go. You know? That's very magnanimous. And Prabhupada asked so many families, said, give me one son. Please give me one son of yours. I will train him as a brahmachari, and he will become a perfect devotee and preacher of Bhagavatam, and he will save the world with me. And no one would give him any son. This is miserly. How will you not give Prabhupada your son? Of course, I'm criticizing how maybe if I was there, I wouldn't be able to do it too. And so therefore we can see actually that the family attachment is strong. That one has to be very elevated to give up their son, or give up their wife. This Vedic system is major. It's not a joke. It's difficult actually to live in this way. Therefore, we have to get a higher taste. Then we can understand, Guru wants me to do, I love to please Guru. Why? Because it tastes so sweet. Now that type of taste will come after putting forward our duty, just making it happen, even if it doesn't taste sweet. Then one day we'll get some sweetness, and then we'll be able to naturally renounce. But the concept isn't to artificially renounce. But even if you do artificially renounce, there's no loss as long as you're doing bhakti yoga. So bhakti yoga is just amazing. There's no way to lose in bhakti yoga. Anyway, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the sum of devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.